Now, Dean, do your thing.
Oh, wow. How interesting. Hey, guys. So today we are going to go, anybody that's been on a webinar with me or see me speak or hear me speak knows I go very, very quickly. And I'm going to continue to go quickly because despite the fact that it's 15 tools, I plan on showing a heck of a lot more than 15 if I can get through it. So the first two tools I'm going to show, you may already know about, you may not, I don't know, but I am basically trying to answer the question about ConnectFire. We all know it got bought. We all got the little email that John Jensen sent out yesterday, basically saying it's going to be around for a while, but it may be reduced in its functionality and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to help you guys out and show you a couple of tools that may solve that problem for you. I am in LinkedIn, and I am on Jorgen Poulsen's profile. The first tool I want to show you, I really want to show you because it is so cool. And it was around a long time ago. It wasn't that good, but now it's back, and that's 360 Social. 360 Social will work on almost any site, and it sits right up here, this little stop sign looking thing, and when it's green and has a number, that means it found stuff. And let's see what it found on Mr. Jorgen Poulsen. As you can see, for free, it found an email, a phone number, and it found all these social sites where he has a presence. It is free. It is a phenomenal tool. Now, I'm not going to lie and tell you every once in a while we'll find something and you have to basically redo the page, basically reset it, and then it will find something. Sometimes it gets stuck. That's the only down cry I see to it. It is just phenomenal in the amount of information it finds. Very cool tool. Easy, right in the store. Highly recommend it. The next one is Context Scout. You guys have all heard about it by now. I wrote a blog about it. I did a video blog about it. Same thing with 360 Social. It sits right here. And as you can see, it found a bunch of information about Mr. Poulsen as well. The stuff to the left is personal stuff. The stuff to the right is company orientated. The stuff down here, it's not 100% sure about. And it has everything you could ask for and then some. The thing to remember with Context Scout is you get so many per day free, 3 to 5, I believe. And then after that, unless you have a paid version, it's not free, but all this information is still here. It's just grayed out, which means you can't click on it to get to his clout or click on it to get to his Gravatar or Twitter. Well, nothing personal. I don't really give a flying flip. As long as I know he's got one, I can always find it. I can highlight his name. Key point now, guys, another tool. I can just highlight his name, go to sales search, and I can search for his name in all these different locations, which include most of the social sites, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, whatever. So I don't really care. As long as I know he's there, it makes it simple on me. The same thing goes with all these sites down here. This will be grayed out. Okay, great. I can't push it and open up a stupid email. Doesn't matter. I can still highlight it. And of course, because we're web-based, both Connect 6, another great tool, and Vibe both work, and both will go out and try to find information on the person. And Vibe did. It's behind Connect 6. Unfortunately, Connect 6 goes in the same place as Vibe. So there you go. Two really easy tools that can take the place of ConnectFire. And to be quite honest with you, in some ways, I think it does a better job than ConnectFire. And while we're at it, so let's do that quick comparison. So let's see what ConnectFire shows us about Mr. Poulsen. This is what ConnectFire shows about Jorgen Poulsen. That little bit of info. Now compare that to what 360 Social showed, and I've got to reload the page. You see it went orange. That means it whatever lost connection or something happened. It does do that every once in a while. It's the only downfall to it, but it always comes right back. So not a big deal. And they are working on fixing that. Right now, 360 Social appears on pretty much every social site I've been on, but they're even looking at expanding beyond that. So we're gonna have to wait. Well, while it's doing that, we're gonna reload again because there's an error there. Long story short, we showed that it showed a lot more than what even ConnectFire showed. So I don't see a reason to really worry about it anymore, but it's a great tool and it's free and it works well. I'm gonna ask if there are any questions before I go on to the really cool stuff because I'm trying to get through this stuff quick so I can get to the cooler stuff because the cooler stuff's still coming. And well, now that it's showing, I'll show you what 360 Social found on Jorgen. It's still loading, so give it a minute or two.
Yeah, Dean, you're good on questions. For everyone who's trying to keep up with the names of the tools, I'm going to send them out via chat, so you'll be able to.
And I'll be sending the presentation out so you all get it, and you can always contact me and ask questions. I'll always make time for you, even if I have to share my screen and do it one-on-one. And as you can see, 360 Social showed a lot more than even ConnectFire did. So who gives a, that's kind of my feeling on it. It's not that I think ConnectFire is bad, but I'm not as worried about it like some people. I think there's going to be plenty of tools available to help you find what you need. So we're going to move on quickly. This is the meat and potatoes of what I want to show before I get to my LinkedIn hacks. APIs. APIs are application program interfaces. Basically, it's a set of routines and protocols for connecting with software. You know, you're in a front end here, you put in your search, it goes to the back end, there's routines, protocols, and stuff that goes back and forth that brings you back your information. Prior to now, you needed to be able to program to utilize these APIs. Well, thanks to a cool little tool called Blockspring, and thanks to Google Sheets, you no longer need to be able to program. They've made it simple for you. This is Blockspring, and these are all the different sites that have APIs that it can help you work with. There are, I think, almost 100 of them, or pretty darn close to it. And there's more than what it shows here. These are just the ones they've already categorized for you. And they make it real simple. You see web scraping, you'll see social sites, productivity, all sorts of neat stuff. Now, how you use Blockspring is pretty simple. You have to use Google Sheets, and Google Sheets is just a phenomenal tool. It can do things that really kind of can surprise you because you don't realize that an Excel type of tool can have so many add-ons that can help you to accomplish things. And, you know, it's a Google product. So like Chrome, I mean, and most of the Google products, there are add-ons and stuff. And here's the ones that I have on this tool. And as you can see, Blockspring's right there. Now, how you get it is you go to get add-ons and you wait for basically the store to load, and then you look for it. You can search for it based on the title, or you can just look for it. Blockspring is somewhere right in this area last time I checked, unless it moves. Sometimes they'll move them, so you have to look. Sometimes they're right up top, just kind of weird. I'll just look up the word block and see what it comes up with, and Blockspring will be in here somewhere, probably, maybe not, who knows. Yeah, there it is. So there's Blockspring. So that's how I found it. But I already have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Blockspring real quick, and I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you every single thing it can do. I'm going to show you one or two things it can do, mainly one. So first of all, you sign in. At some point, you're going to have to go in and follow directions to get the APIs for the sites that you want to use. I'm going to go into the Add Block site, and there's all the different blocks I can use. Now, in this case, I'm going to show you one thing in particular, and I'm going to go down to Glassdoor. And we're going to go in there, and you see Glassdoor allows you to do an employer search, get job counts by city, get job counts by county, get job counts by employer, and blah, 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 blah. And to me, this particular site is good for doing competitive intelligence and stuff like that. Let's say you have a job, your company needs Java people in the middle of Podunk somewhere. This will give you an idea how hard it's going to be to find, because you'll know how many other companies are looking for the same thing. You'll know what companies are looking and all that good stuff. And that's where this comes in really, really handy. So I'm going to go into the job counts by employer, and here's where you can set parameters. Now I'm going to do employee name. I'm not going to worry about location. I'm not going to worry about radius. Actually, that might be the only thing I check for now, even though you can check all these other things. That's probably all I'm going to check for now, because I want to make this simple. Now, the good part about this tool is it's going to go out there and search for Boeing, but it's going to search for anybody connected to Boeing, maybe doing business with Boeing, maybe you might get people that are yeah, there we go. So you got Boeing, and this is the number of jobs, this is the number of reviews, and what you'll notice is there are other companies there. That means all these companies probably have a job or jobs out there where it says Boeing in the job description somewhere, and that's why you're getting them. But here's the Boeing one right there, and this tells you what you got to worry about. Now, of course, like I said, I could easily have asked for developer only or cyber only or whatever. I didn't want to waste a lot of time. I just wanted to pick the one that would get us the numbers, and that's what we did. So we now know that Boeing's got a boatload of jobs. What I'm going to do real quickly, only because I think it's relevant, is I'm going to go back to this same one. And I'm going to go back to, first of all, I'm going to put that back there, job count by employer again, and I'm going to select my options again. I'm going to do employer by name, and then I'm going to do location, and I'm going to do search query. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm still going to stick with Boeing, because I just want to stick with Boeing. I'm going to go with do Seattle, Washington right there, and then I'm going to put in the word engineer. And then we're going to try it one more time, and we're going to see what it does and see if it'll see how good it does. We know we're Seattle, we're looking for Boeing and engineer. We figured there should be a few jobs in there with engineer. Let's see here. And according to this, there are 4. Okay. So I guess there are only 4 jobs in the Seattle area with the word engineer somewhere in the profile. That's fine. The point is it worked and it did exactly what we wanted to do. Now, some of the other things that you can do in here, and I'm not going to go through them all, but I will show you a little bit as far as specifically the blocks that you can do that I think is really, really cool. Is like, as an example, you saw a Twitter block as soon as it opens. And these are alphabetical, so that makes it easy to find. Right here in the Twitter, you can find people on Twitter. You can do it based on the subject, based on some info in their contact. You can do it based on anything. It's really cool, simple, and easy. It's a lot easier than actually searching in Twitter. Meetup, there's one for Meetup, and you can actually look for groups, and then you can find all the members that are in that group, which will include usernames and all sorts of neat stuff. So that's a quick and easy way to search in Meetup. Email Hippo will validate an email address for you. Fedger, which is up top, is really good for company intel. I mean, they find a lot of great information about a company. Full Contact will deduce names from email, and I'm going to show you a little more about Full Contact. It'll find people by emails, all sorts of neat stuff. And that's just some of them. When you've got all these particular sites with all these APIs, the amount of information and stuff you can do is phenomenal. There's one in here, and I forget the name right now. It is a facial recognition, and it's phenomenal. I put a picture that was blurry as heck of somebody in there, and it still found them. Really, really, really good. I have a friend of mine who works law enforcement, and I've showed him it, and he's like, that's about 90% of the one that we use. I mean, the law enforcement use facial recognition, and this particular tool is about 90% of what they use. Theirs can do a few things this one can't do, but it's really that good. So it's kind of scary what it can do, but really, really phenomenal. Now, what I'm going to do now is get out of this because I want to show you some really interesting stuff. And this is still involving Blockspring and APIs and everything, but this is more specific. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open a new sheet, and we got to wait for it to open and wait for the add-ons to activate. And we're going to go into my add-ons, and we're going to go into Email Hunter, and we're going to open it. Now, Email Hunter is an add-on, but it also has its own space inside of Blockspring, and I'm going to do apple.com, and I'm just going to look for 100. I mean, I could look for more, but let's just stick with 100, and let's see what we get. Now, right now, what it's doing is it's going out there and looking at the Apple domain, looking at its mail server, and finding all these email addresses. Some are personal, some are generic. Now, the first thing is, okay, great, I got these emails. What good does that do us? Well, there's a couple of things that this does for us, and so we're going to use this particular person. We're going to highlight it, and we're going to hover over it and look at that. Vibe is there. Vibe is a tool that looks up people's information based on their email address. And look what we just found. We found Wilfred Sanchez. He does work there. He's at Apple. And guess what? He has both a Gravatar and a LinkedIn account. We now can find exactly what this gentleman does if we so desire. And so let's press on his LinkedIn and let's see what it says about the young man. Wait a minute for LinkedIn to open. He's a senior architect.
Dean, does that work on cell phones?
Well, first of all, it's emails, not phones.
I know
it's
it's
email.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the relevance of it working on that I can't answer because it's not a phone thing. It's an email tool.
Well, I think specifically they were asking, is there a similar tool for phone numbers?
A couple of the APIs in Blockspring will actually try to match up people with phone numbers, but I have not been able to test the accuracy of it yet. So I don't know the answer to that question. And so I hope that helps, but I would mess with some of the Blockspring ones. There's a couple in there that do phone number info. They'll look up based on email or phone number. Email or name, try to find phone numbers. But like I said, I haven't really messed with it that much yet. So look at what we got. Because we started here, we ended up using Vibe to find out they have a LinkedIn email, a LinkedIn account. We ended up here, and look what this particular tool found us, a personal email address. Also happens to be his GitHub. But here's the other piece of information I find interesting. He has his own domain. So what would happen if we went up here and used this other tool, which is called Domain Availability Checker and Who is Lookup? Most of you know this. And we put in Mr. Wozniak. Now, there's no guarantee we'll find anything. And we checked and seen if there's, oh, well, look at that. We now know he's got this when he lived in Pittsburgh. May not be there anymore, but that's where we start. And look, there's his phone number. Isn't that cool? So we now have his phone number. This email address says eliminatejunkemail.com. Guess what? That'll still go to him. It's a dummy email because he's hiding his email that he has connected to this account, but it'll still get to him. Don't let anybody tell you it won't. It will. I've checked it. I think if I remember correctly, I did almost 199 actually still got to the person. So it's pretty good. But look at that information we just found. So this is a way, and this is not going to be the first time I show you this, where we connected the dots between tools. We started with Email Hunter. Then we used Vibe, then we went to LinkedIn, then we used Contact Scout, and then we used domain availability. And what did we end up getting? All this information about a guy who may actually be somebody we're interested in based on the fact that they are a senior architect for iTunes. If we go down here, he's been a department manager, developer, so he's a developer. We go down here to his list of skills, Python, Objective-C, what a surprise. You know, the stuff you would expect for a guy working at Apple. And that's how we got there. Quick, painless, easy, just utilizing different skills. Now you're probably saying, well, couldn't I just search for Wilfred Sanchez and Apple? Maybe, but I can tell you right now for a fact, and I'm not going to look till I find one, not all of these people have LinkedIn profiles. So you're not going to necessarily find them all. Now you're probably saying, well, isn't there an easy way to figure out who's who? And the answer to that question is an astounding yes. We're going to go ahead and copy this first group right here. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you is don't copy from Google Sheets or any Excel straight into another tool, because odds are you're going to get a whole bunch of programming for, you know, how the name got there and all that. What I do is I did it to an online tool called editpad.org, which is the reason I do that is because it's online. That means Vibe and Connect 6 will all work with them. Now that I've done that, I'm going to copy this group out, and we're going to go into my next play toy, which is Full Contact, which again is a Blockspring tool. And we're going to open this particular sheet up, and we're going to wait a minute or two or three. Shoot, well, that's all right. We'll get back to it. Doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to wait for it to load. Got to wait for the add-on, and we're going to go into that, and we're going to go into, come on, Blockspring. And you're going to notice it's going to open specifically to this specific piece of Blockspring. It's not going to just add a block or anything like that. It's going to eventually, when it's done, see, we're in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight, and we're going to put in that top 5 or 6, and watch what we're going to do. We're going to push run. Now you're probably wondering what's going to do. This tool is now going out based on that email and going to try to find a whole lot of information about these people. And look at that. We now know their full names, male, female in some cases, where they're located, and a whole bunch of other information. We now know all this information about them. The ones that say 200 are good. The ones that don't means that they didn't find any. Like this is a podcast.apple. That's a dummy one for a podcast. So that's why we didn't find any info. But look at it. So you have all the information you need now. And again, like before, because this is in a web-based tool, you can highlight the name and use Connect 6 or Vibe to find more information about it. But at least you have some information about it. And that's what this tool can do for you. But I'm going to show you what else it can do for you in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is come out of this. Beautiful. So are there any questions before I move on? Because we're about to get into some more neat stuff.
No, I think we can keep going.
All right. So Clearbit Connect is a tool that works in Gmail. It sits right here, and basically it's providing all this information about anybody that send you an email. However, if you push it and you put find an email, you're going to get to this, which is called the Connect Clearbit Prospector, which is basically this. So what I would recommend is once you get it and once you push this button and it opens the find email thing, copy this URL and save it. I've got mine saved in my little thing here, right here. Where is it? It might be at the end, I think. Yeah, right there. It makes it easy. And this is an app that just allows it to make it easy for me to just to have all my little tools and stuff available and quickly for me. I'll tell you what it's called, because frankly I don't remember. It's called New Tab Plus, and basically what it does is it allows you to have all your little apps and stuff, not extensions because they're up here, but apps and stuff, sites or what have you, easy to click and easy to get to. So we're here. We are going to mess with Apple. Now we're in Apple, we got all these people, that's great, but I want a specific person. I want a iOS developer. And we're going to let it do its thing. Did I spell everything right? iOS. Yep, and look at all those iOS developers we found. That's quite a few of them. It's about 15. That's pretty cool. So we're going to go into Alice Lowe. And we're going to get there and we're going to be like, okay, we got her work email. Love to have a little more info on her. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight her name and we're going to right click and we're going to use a tool called LinkedIn Search Tool. It allows you to highlight a name, a company, anything you want and search basic or recruiter. We're going to search basic and we're going to search. And we're going to let it open. Now it's going to open a whole bunch of Alicia losses, which is fine. We know this one works for Apple. There's only 10 people named Alicia Loss. Or Alice Loss, excuse me. I keep calling her Alicia, I don't know why. Maybe I have Alicia on the brain. And we're gonna wait, LinkedIn, and here we go. Now, I specifically picked this person because I already knew she was in Singapore, and I thought that would be important, the fact that she's not in the US. I mean, if it can work for Singapore, it's gonna work for the US. And look what we get. We get her nice little neat profile, great. And she's an iOS developer, great, it's all that good, but all we got is a work email. It'd sure be nice to get a personal email. Well, here's what we get from Context Scout. We get her Twitter, and there's her username. Okay, let's see what 360 is still doing its thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go to Twitter. We know this is her username, and we're going to do our next little game, and we're going to take that, and we're going to go back into Google Sheets, and we're going to pick up my permutator that I created, which you guys will have access to once you get my presentation. Oh wow, we're doing really good on time. And we're going to go down to email permutator prime. Now I've shown this before, but I'm going to show it again. Okay, the first page is basically for your 6 or 7 most common work-orientated naming conventions. You put in first name, last name, domain, and here they are. Now this will work with personal. I mean, a lot of people do use personal names in their email addresses, but that's not what I use it for. This is where we do the personal. And as you can see, I've already put in her username from Twitter. And look at all of these permutations based on the top 26 most used email domains. According to statistics, 95% of all Americans have an email address with one of these. I even have Facebook, but we're not going to get Facebook. We're going to copy these. And remember, I told you can't go directly to the tool out of the Google Sheets because you're going to get all the formulas. So we're going to go to Edit Pad first. I could use Vibe to find the right email, but that takes time. It's one-on-one, one at a time. So instead, I'm going to go here. And we're going to go back to this one where I had originally put in, let me open Blockspring again, where I originally had her with this tool that went out and found info. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for Blockspring to load again. Good, and we're going to re-put in the emails, which it did, and we're going to run. Now what it's doing, it's going out there and doing like it did before, it's searching. So the question is, which one is the right email? And guess what? It's the Gmail. That's her right email. It validated for you. This error is because all the others were error, didn't find anything. This is her email. And it all started, now think about how this started. We started in this tool looking for iOS developers. We found one, and then we went into LinkedIn and we used this tool. Could have just easily used 360 Social because it showed Twitter as well, but it also showed Clout and PhotoSugar, so it showed a little more. And we immediately went into her Twitter and got her Twitter handle, which again, human beings are creatures of habit. Whatever they're using as a username, 90% of the time, they're going to have an email address associated with it. And it's going to be one of these most commonly used ones. And then we took the entire list into this tool. So we got rid of all the formulas. And then we put it back into this tool and let it find the right email. Now it sounds like a lot. I did it pretty quick because I'm used to it. But Think about how all these tools connected found this information that no one of them could find on its own. And now you have a legitimate iOS developer in Singapore. You got their work email, you got their personal email. You can now contact them. All that simple and quick using a combination of tools. And like I said, you could have used Vibe and gone one by one, but why when you can get it done automatically? Now, a lot of you are going to say, great, but what happens if I don't have LinkedIn or LinkedIn Recruiter account, or they're not on LinkedIn? Some of these people aren't going to be on LinkedIn, to be quite honest with you. I'm not going to go through them. I remember there was about 4 or 5 of them that weren't. There are other ways to find people. You go back into this and you do a sales search, which can search almost all these places. And in this case, we're going to do the sales search into Facebook and see what we get. We may not get something. Sometimes you got to play with it and try to figure out what's what. Alicia Loss. So there's a bunch of Alicia Losses here, but too many for me to go through and want to mess with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Bing. Now I'm not using Google because we're doing a lot of Google. I'm going to use Bing. And oh wow, wait a minute. Facebook Alicia Loss. Let's see if this is the right one. And we're going to open it up. Alicia Laws, still don't know. Wait a minute, Singapore, University of Adele. Guess what? That's her. And look at her username, same one we're already using. So now you still know that's her username. You can still do the same process, even though she may not have been on LinkedIn. Almost everybody is someplace. You just got to figure out where. And once you figure out where they're at and you can get a username or something, you can easily go ahead and find out what their email address is. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you it always works, but in the end, if nothing happens, it really doesn't matter. You have their work email right here. And just to give you an idea just how good this tool is, okay, well, let's go back here. Let's go back in here. Okay, so it gets you about 15 at a time. So I put the words iOS developer, and I got these. Let's say you want more. Okay, great. Let's take out the word developer and just put iOS and see what we get. And then you're going to get some more. Some are still going to be developers. Some are just going to be iOS. Some are going to be engineers. Let's remember, if I remember correctly, Coco is also another thing that it can go by. And look at this. Now we get these. Now let's look at iPhone. So if you go through all your permutations, you're going to find 100 people that might fit exactly what you're looking for by going through this. And some of them are not on LinkedIn. Some of them are hard to find otherwise, because all this thing is doing is scraping the mail server at Apple. That's all it's doing. Scraping that mail server and any public information that's out there. If I remember correctly, objective, because I'm not, yeah, so there's Objective C. I'm not sure how, there's so many ways they could put Objective C, it's hard to tell. Oh, there you go. Objective C just found a bunch of people. Not all of them are developers. A couple of them are developers. I mean, you could probably put Objective C and go ahead and, if I remember correctly, sometimes it's just like that. No, okay, so let's just do that then. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways and permutations you can use for finding people. And it does a pretty neat job of finding them. So before I go on, because we did get through this a lot quicker than I thought we were going to get through it, I'm really happy with that. Are there any questions?
There's a quick question about if Blockspring can look at members. You know what? I actually don't understand the question. I'll get back to you.
Due to technical difficulties beyond our control. All right, then while you do that, I'm going to show you a tool that you guys have all heard about because I've talked about it enough, and I'm only showing it to you because it is without a doubt my favorite tool for finding naming conventions for companies because it's quicker than anything I've ever seen. Email broker, you guys all know it. This is the boring part for you. It's real simple. I'm going to pick on my company, Lockheed Martin. First name, last name. That's correct. That's how quick. It does it as you type. And we now know first name, last name. And yes, if you send me an email to dean.decosta@lmco.com, it will get to me. Please don't. Use my personal email. And you'll get that at the end. And besides that, you all are recruiters. If you can't find out how to contact me, you may want to think about getting a new job because I'm really easy to find. At least I'm pretty sure I am. Just look at my LinkedIn profile. There's like 4 emails and my phone number and all sorts of stuff. All right, so I show this because it's so simple. Of all the ones to find naming conventions, it's far and away the simplest and the easiest. Now, I'm going to deviate because we have a little extra time before I get into all the plethora of LinkedIn stuff I want to show. And I'm deviating for a reason because there's been a lot of talk of recent about a product called Lucia. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you about it. First thing, it will not work with Connect 6. So I am automatically deactivating Connect 6. Now, how did I do that so quick? It's a tool called Extensity, allows you to activate and deactivate your extensions quickly, painlessly, and easily. That's how I do it. Before I go any further, I'll let you know this is called LinkedIn zip code. Shows me all the zip codes for the person. In this case, they're in France, so I don't know how they do that. And this is LinkedIn connection view. Shows you the number of connections. Now, why is that important? Well, you know, me personally, if I'm going to connect somebody, it's helpful if they have 13,000 connections. One, it means they're active. Number two, means they have plenty of info. So we're going to go here. This is Lucius. It's on the right side. It's a novelty because most of them don't. And we're going to sign in real quick. Or try to sign in real quick. Authentication failed. It does that every once in a while. You have to, oh, you know what? I know why. Sometimes you have to retype it in. All right, so the bouncing ball. We're going to follow the bouncing ball while it signs me in. And there you go. There's a contact info. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Lucius says in its instructions when you sign up that it does find your LinkedIn connections and stuff like that. Not a big deal. All of these people aggregators do that. And frankly, it's public information. If you have no problem with sharing your Gmail address book, then connect the tool to Gmail. If you have a problem sharing it, then don't. I'm not sharing, so it does not have access to my Gmail, any of my people in the address book. All it has access to is my LinkedIn connections, which no big deal. LinkedIn's got it, Connectifier's got it, Profit's got it, they've all got it. Not a big deal. But it found me 2 emails, including a Hotmail account, and it found me a phone number. Now, just so you know, I could have easily figured that out because he uses Jorgen.Polson in almost all as his name in almost everything. Not everything, but in a lot of them. And so I would have pretty easily been able to figure out using the methodology I showed you before that that's his username and then put it in front of all the pleasant choices and it would have found it using the other tools I showed you. But I didn't have to. It found it. It does a pretty good job. I'm not going to lie and tell you it doesn't. But I'm also not going to lie and tell you, you need to be careful with it, like all of them. I am very careful. I usually do not connect my Gmail or my Hotmail or anything to any of these tools. Pretty much if they want to have access to LinkedIn, that's fine because everybody else does. LinkedIn does, might as well, so who cares? But I'm not going to let them have access to this. Myself, Aaron Lintz, and Jackie from Recruiting Tools did a little analysis, and there is a company called Monkey something or another that this tool is connected to. So what they're doing, which is what Connectifier did and a lot of these tools did, they're using this as a way of enhancing their database for the other tool, which eventually is, is going to be a paid tool. So that's again fine because all they have access to is my LinkedIn. I'm not giving them access to Gmail. Eventually they're going to give you a choice for Hotmail and other things, but I'm not going to give them access to any of it. So. But it's a cool tool. It actually does a pretty good job. And unlike other tools, it actually gives you a personal email and tries to find you a phone number as well. So somebody was asking about phone numbers before, it actually tries to find you phone numbers. So with that, unless there's other questions or we remembered what that other question for, we're about to go into the area of how do we do as much as LinkedIn Recruiter can let you do without having LinkedIn Recruiter. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you something.
Hold on, one Blockspring question. Is it possible to make Blockspring export data in a custom layout, or is it a standard export and then you have to format?
Each Blockspring API will have different formats as far as how it comes out, but it's all coming out to a Google Sheet, which is an Excel, which means you can download it as a CSV or an Excel sheet, which then means you can go ahead and put it together any way you want. So I guess yes and no. Yes. Okay, so pre-search, no. Post-search, yes. If that makes sense. The reason why it's easy to manipulate because it's a Google Sheet, which is basically a CSV or an Excel sheet. It's the same freaking thing. They just call it Google Sheets because they can't call it Excel because Microsoft did that. It's basically the same thing. It's a spreadsheet. And so you can always do it post information, but not pre-information, without knowing how to program. If you know how to program, you can do it. I've done one of them, and I would let a programmer do it. I mean, I can program, and I'm decent, and I was able to do it, but I wouldn't do it again. I have plenty of friends who are programmers, and I'll tell them to do it, and they'll do it for me, and they'll be a lot quicker than me, and a lot cleaner code than what I wrote. My code was not super clean. It worked, just wasn't real clean. So y'all probably know this, but one of my problems with LinkedIn, and I don't dislike LinkedIn, is unless you have a recruiter account, you can't see everybody unless you X-ray in. Even in regular basic, you can't really see everybody unless you X-ray in. So my first question is, if I need a Java developer in Seattle, why would I even go into LinkedIn knowing that in most cases I'm going to have to contact them in emails, which as we all know, for the most part, don't work very well, when I can do this. Look at this, sitelinkedin.com in, great, Gmail. Oh, wow, look at that. I got 283 people that are in Seattle area that are Java developers, and guess what? I have their Gmail email. So what the heck do I need emails for? And guess what? If I go through the other 25 different email domains, by the time I'm done, I'm gonna have about 500 people. Actually, 498 to be precise. Gmail is the largest, and it'll go exponentially down from there. So why do I really need LinkedIn? Now, you're probably saying, well, I still have to go into search. Well, no, you don't. This tool called Search-Preview will allow you to preview the pages. So you don't even have to go in. You can determine which ones you like and don't like just by sitting right here and looking at. But the point of the matter is still, I have their Gmail. Why do I really give a flying flip? And just so you think, well, that's great, but how do I get all the information out? Now we go into this handy dandy tool Pure, which is called Data Miner, Get Similar, and all these other choices. And we find the right recipe to get the right results. And we're going to go down here because if I remember correctly, unless they've changed it, they keep changing. Right there. Let's see if this works right. Sometimes, oh, look at that. I got a nice CSV or Excel spreadsheet downloadable with their name, which sometimes will have Gmail, their URL, great, their headline, which is where their Gmail might be, or their little content thing, which is definitely where their Gmail will be. And I can download it. And what you're going to notice, because I have a tool called Auto Paginizer, look at that. I get 100 of them, not just 25, and I have to go to page 2. The reason why I only got 100 is because I didn't go to the bottom page. If I went to the bottom page and gotten all 200 and whatever, or 400 and whatever, they all would be here, all 400 and something of them. But I got 100 of them. Nice, pretty, and easy. So again, I reiterate, let's see. I could search and find people with Gmails, didn't need LinkedIn. I can download all the info to upload to a CSV, definitely don't need LinkedIn. So again, don't need LinkedIn, not LinkedIn Recruiter, that's for sure. Now, some of you are probably saying that's great, but that's only part of what LinkedIn Recruiter lets you do. So let's see what else LinkedIn Recruiter can do, let you do that we can do without LinkedIn Recruiter. So the first thing we're going to do is look at this and do a search. I've got searches in here. I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick. Oh wow, somebody needs to really watch the photos they're placing up there. You're going to look at this Java and all this. Now, LinkedIn lets you leave, you know who you've already seen. Well, guess what? You see Raphael Ephraim, you see this test, something I wrote, you see how many days ago I did it? This is a tool called Datacruit that will allow you to leave a message or whatever you want to write about the person and also tell you how long ago it was that you looked at them. I looked at this person 3 months, 25 days ago. Well, that's one of the other things that LinkedIn lets you do. It lets you know that you've already seen them and leave notes. Well, guess what? I can do that too without LinkedIn Recruiter. Don't need LinkedIn Recruiter to do it. I can do it without. Now, the next thing we're going to say is, well, that's great. We can do all that. That's fantastic. But I can't save these profiles into folders without LinkedIn Recruiter, which is the other major thing LinkedIn Recruiter lets you do. Well, that's not true either. And we're going to show you how. We're going to use this tool up here called LinkedIn Storage, and we're going to press it. And it says account, profile, get LinkedIn profile. Oh, it got it. Cool. Let's go to LinkedIn Storage. By the way, this is free. And let's see what we got here. And that was Tony Narav, whatever I could. Oh, look at that. He's right there. And he's in general. Well, I don't want him in general, though. I'd like to put him in my Java folder. So let's submit him. And profile has been updated. And let's go to Java. Now, remember, his name's Tony Navardi. And we're in Java. And look, he's in my Java folder. And I can make more folders. So let's see. So far, LinkedIn Recruiter lets you leave notes, which we've shown you can do with Datacruit. It lets you know you've already seen somebody, which we can do with Datacruit. And it lets you put people into folders nice and pretty, which we can do with LinkedIn Storage. So again, I go back to what do we need LinkedIn Recruiter for? What's it really accomplishing? You can X-ray in and find everybody. Doesn't matter whether you're connected to them or not. So what do you really need LinkedIn Recruiter for? Now, I'm not saying if you have a 25-person team, nobody should have LinkedIn Recruiter. probably 1 or 2 people, but not everybody needs it because almost everything you can do in LinkedIn Recruiter, you can do outside of LinkedIn Recruiter for free. And that's what the idea behind all of this is. Now, unless there's questions, I'm going to show you a couple other little tricks. And these are going to be URL manipulating. We're going to manipulate LinkedIn to do something it don't want to do. Now, when we go in here, as soon as it opens the advanced search, and we're going to put in the word Java. I want to make this pretty simple. I don't really want to have to put a whole lot of stuff in here. So we're going to put in the word Java, and we're going to let Lazarus do its thing and find what I want. We're going to do Java and JSON. That's the one we want. Lazarus is a tool that remembers everything you type, everything. And if for some reason your screen goes out or your computer gets cut off and comes back on, what you had in there will still be there. That's one of the reasons I love this tool. So we got that. Now, if we come down here to location, here's the interesting part. We're going to put, okay, don't know why it didn't give me much. There we go. We're going to put in 98042, which is where I live. And you're going to notice right here, the first thing is you can't get closer than 10 miles and you can't get further away than 100 miles, which kind of sucks. But that's okay. We're going to fix that. First thing we're going to do is our little search. We're going to come up with a few hundred people, I believe. I think. I haven't done the search in a couple of days, so who knows? 9 people, 8 people. Okay, so we didn't come up with a few hundred. I guess I did something different. All right. That's great, but I really would like to see them a little bit closer than 10 miles. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to something called URL parameter. It's called easy URL parameter, and we're going to pick it. We're going to take this URL, and we're going to what it does is it looks in the URL for all of these data points. The first thing you're going to notice, it says distance 10 miles. Now remember, we have 8 people. We're going to change that to 5. And then we're going to come down to the bottom. We're going to add new parameter. And then we're going to reload edited. Now it's really interesting that the number went up, and I know why, and I'll explain that to you. We now have 29 people. Now, why did it go up even though we went from 10 miles to 5? The reason is because your initial search, when you searched, some people don't put in their zip codes, and so it can only go by the zip code, and it'll only show up 5. By changing the parameters, now you're looking at people that may not put in zip code, and what happens is it automatically looks for people like in Seattle, if they didn't put in zip code and you do it this way, what happens is it says, okay, you're in Seattle, the most populated zip code in Seattle is this zip code, so we're going to say you're there. So it just makes an assumption, whereas the initial search doesn't make the assumption. This search makes the assumption. So you actually end up getting more people. And so there you go, that's 5. But let's do one more thing even though. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same thing. You say distance 5, but instead we want to go further than 100. We're going to go to 200. And again, we're going to come down here. We're going to add new parameters. We're going to reload the page and see how the distance 200. Look at that, 389. But see how the distance in the URL changed to 200, and now we got 389. But originally we could only do 100. That was the most it would let you do. Doing it this way allows you to get around the 100, 300 thing. I mean, the 110 mile thing. It allows you to get closer or further away than 100. You could have put 125, you could put 150, you could put them whatever you want. And the good part is because you're doing it this way, anybody who did not put a zip code in when they signed up will automatically, the assumption will be the most populated zip code within whatever, Greater Seattle, wherever it is you put, and it will automatically, I mean, this one down here is Oregon. So you know it worked because they're in Portland. Portland is not 5 miles from where we're at. So that's the good part. So you know this works. And that's an easy manip to allow you to see more or less than what you really wanted. Are there any questions? We got 15 minutes and I'm going to show you a bunch of, I still got one more LinkedIn thing I want to show you, and then I'm going to probably flake off and show you a few other things.
What was the tool that saves all your keyword searches?
You mean that fills in these things?
Mm-hmm.
Lazarus.
Okay.
Lazarus.
And the other question, you said data crute, and I think I spelled it wrong.
D-A-T-A-C-R-U-I-T.
Okay. All right, that's it.
All right. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to go, for those of you that do have a LinkedIn Recruiter license, I am going to help you out here. I am going to give you one little cute little trick. I am going to go into my LinkedIn Recruiter. Lockheed Martin we only have 5 in all of Lockheed Martin, so that's one of the reasons why I have one. I'm the research guy, so they felt that, hey, you know what, Dean should have one. Weird part is I hardly use it, but whatever. it's funny why I'm doing this. My other computer is scraping LinkedIn for a bunch of profiles. So I got to wait till it lets me sign in, and it may take a little while because I am scraping in my other computer. So while it's doing that, what I will show you is a couple of other little tools that I've recently found that I think are pretty cool. This is called Scrap. And Scrap is an interesting tool, and I'm going to actually get out of it because it looks like that thing's frozen for some reason. I don't know why it would be frozen. Internet's good, so okay, there we go. Let me try that again. Maybe it's just being silly. See, I have a bunch. Oh, here we go. Well, instead of Scrap, we're going to show you Querulous Sherlock. So Querulous Sherlock is a really cool tool because what it does is this. So we're going to put in my name. We're going to search on me because I don't want to pick on anybody else. Now, hint, if you got somebody that's got two last names, I mean, Costa is 2 words, put them together in most cases. In most cases, that's the way it's going to have to be. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look under LockheedMartin.com. And what it's doing is it's going to go out there and look for all the different versions of that email. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy all to clipboard. And then I'm going to go over here into Word. Actually, I could have done it online. I guess it really wouldn't have mattered. So let me do it online for you guys. Edit pad. And there's all the permutations that it found. Now, one of them is correct. We already know which one. But now imagine you take that and stick it into that full contact, and it tells you which one's right. So it's a cool little quick way of finding email naming conventions and stuff like that. It's a really cool tool. And it's quick. And so that's another one. It's called Querl, QWILR Sherlock, Querl Sherlock. And it's really cool. It works really quick, really fast, really easy. So now let's see. Let's leave this page and see if it's going to let me sign into Recruiter, if it's going to get silly. And I'm sure that has more to do with what's going on in my other computer than anything. And yep, it did. So let me get out of this. I'm going to go ahead and get out of my other computer because it's already done what I asked it to do. Oh, good, it got me in. All right, there I sped error, don't care. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into we're going to go into my projects, and we're going to find one project that has over 100 people. We'll go to supercomputing because I think it's like 189 or 90 or something. 181, close enough. Now, this is a cool little hack for those of you that have LinkedIn Recruiter and have to use it because it'll allow you to save a whole lot of time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get to where it lists all your people. We're going to go up to this wheel. We're going to come down to where it says view candidates to get it out of the view it's in right now, because the view it's in right now, this little trick doesn't work on. We're going to get it into this view, which is what I call the search view. This is what you see when you do your search. And we're going to wait till it populates. Well, actually, we won't wait till it populates because I don't really care. We're going to go to the last page. We're going to go to page 8. And we just got to wait for a minute for it to catch up to me. I tend to be a little, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but LinkedIn has been really, really, really slow lately. At any rate, so we're in page 8, last page, and what we're going to do is go back up here to our little parameters thing, and we're going to grab this one. Now, you're going to see a whole lot more info here. You see where it says page? We're going to change that to 1. See where it says start? We're going to change that to 0. Now, we know there's 181. Do not do more than 250 because it junks out at that, but we're going to do 200. We're going to add the new parameters, and then we're going to reload the page. Now, it took 8 pages to show 181 people. That's way too many for me. I don't want to have to spend the time changing page, because I don't know if you know it, that's like 20 seconds every time you go from page to page to page to page to page. I don't like to do that. So instead, what I've done is I've made it to where all 181 are on one long page. One long page. No more going page to page to page. All there, all pretty, all simple. And as if that wasn't enough, you can, I think, don't quote me on this because sometimes it does. Yeah, if you highlight all of them, it will actually grab everybody for you. So let me put this mark there. Let me go all the way down to the bottom and grab this here. And now let me right click again, do data miner, and data miner should grab them all. Just like I said, all 181 of them that can now be downloaded as CSV. Nice, easy, peasy. No problem. That's my LinkedIn Recruiter hack of the day because I don't do a whole lot on LinkedIn Recruiter, like I said. But there you go, quick and simple. Now we got 10 minutes, so I can either open it up for questions if there are any, or I can show you some other stuff. I've already shown you way more than 15, and that's just because I told you at the beginning I was going to show you more than 15. So are there any questions, or would you guys prefer I show more toys?
I have one quick question. I definitely don't want to stop you because I feel like people are loving all these tools. From Eugene, does URL parameter work in GitHub projects?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. I've used it a couple times and it seems to work, but I'm not going to tell you for a fact it does because 2 or 3 times isn't enough of a proof of concept to me to tell you it works for a fact. I can only tell you when I've done it, it's worked, but again, I've only done it 2 or 3 times.
All right. So next question. What was the tool you used to turn tools on and off?
It was Extensity.
Okay.
Now you want to hear it now. Now, as long as we're here, this is a tool called Context. You guys are going to hate me now. You guys are really going to hate me. So first of all, let me explain something to you about Chrome extensions. These are all the Chrome extensions I have on my computer. And that's not all the ones I know. These are just the ones I have on. I have hundreds more I have written down that I don't have on right now because of whatever reasons. This tool allows you to group them. So the group you're seeing, this group up here that's on right now falls under a specific category. And that category is prime small. That means these are my prime tools that I want. The small version. The prime max is the bigger version, which means there's some extra tools. So let's say I decide I'm going to play with LinkedIn. That's all I want to do. I don't want to mess with anything but LinkedIn. Guess what? I have a category where it's LinkedIn. These are all the tools that work with LinkedIn. So I can just activate whole groups and deactivate whole groups. Really simply to do. See, the minus deactivates them, the plus activates them. And that's how simple that tool can be and easy for you to use. And so it's another one. I like both tools. This tool because it does them in groups, context, extensively because I can do them one at a time. So I use both. I'm a big proponent of having more than one tool that can do the same thing. Now, in the effort to make something easy for you guys to know, I want to explain something to you about Chrome extensions. They're and add-ons. They're programs, and there are security risks you got to deal with, and there are ways to deal with the security risks. So I'm going to show you a tool that'll help you. This is Shield for Chrome. As you can see, most all my extensions are listed. Doesn't look it, but trust me, they're all there. What it's showing you is the ones I've used the most, but then they're all there. And it will tell you if there's adware, malware, spyware. I actually just tried to install an extension yesterday, and this popped up immediately, told me adware. So I got rid of it before it even got installed. It won't let it install until it checks it. And if it sees there's adware, malware, spyware, I just get rid of it. And this is one way you can keep your system very clean. And that's one of the reasons I do. And as I've said, I'm a big proponent for having more than one tool that can do things. I have 1 or 2 other tools that do a very similar thing. This tool is called Privacy Cleaner. All extensions and add-ons have to have access to certain things. This particular tool breaks down what tools have access to what. Right now it's everything. They're saying some of these are high risk. I'm not too worried about it because I know what they do. But these are the high risk apps. These are the medium risk. They list them in order, like full contact is high risk. The reason why it's high risk is because it has access to some stuff, Gmail and stuff like that, which I don't care. If I didn't want it, I just push it and here it goes. I can report it, I can trust, I can disconnect. I can do whatever I want to do. In this case, I trust it, so it's going to just stay there. And notice it moved. It's now considered trusted, so I don't have to worry about it. And eventually I have to go through all of these. I just haven't done them all yet. I have a habit of doing them. I'll sit down one day and go through them all. I did it about a month ago, and I try to do it once a month. But this will let you know what permissions some of your extensions and apps have, and allow you to determine whether you want them to have that access or not. It's really up to you. And again, if you push this button, these are the Facebook ones. These are the ones that have access to Google+. These are Twitter. These are the ones that have access to your online storage. This one is pictures, and that one's login information. And you can do the same thing here, media files, inbox, location. So this does it by social site, this does it by location, act on your behalf, whatever. And it just lets you know what you've got going on. You don't even have to sign in for it to work. So great tool, does a good job. definitely recommended, and we have plenty of time still. So I guess I'm going to find some other. I guess I'm just going to go down this list and just play with tools today. There are a lot of them, and I'm very careful which ones I play with and show, because I want to make sure I'm showing ones I think will help you guys as opposed to hurt you guys. One tool that I've come to like a lot. Well, first of all, let's start with this one. This tool is called Lex. Very cool tool. You notice I have all 389 people. We're going to push Lex, and we're going to watch. And what Lex is doing, Lex is going in, and Lex is going to go ahead and find all 389 people. Now, we're going to let that run for right now, because it's going to take a while. It is 389, so we're going to let that run. So remember, Lex, we're going to let it run. When it's done, we'll come back to it, because I'm going to show some other things where we're waiting for it to run, because 389 people is a lot of people. What I'm going to do now is show you what I consider to be the quick Boolean tool. It's called Bool. You guys probably heard it, and it's really quick. I've actually got this one here already done. Let me refresh. So you start with what you're looking for. We're going to look for Java. Well, first of all, before I do it, let's refresh. I'm going to actually make it do a LinkedIn search, because I want to make it quick and simple. Java. We want an and. We're going to look for developer and an and we're going to look in Seattle. Oops, didn't type it. My bad. Seattle. All right, so we're going to build our string, and that's what our string looks like, which isn't exactly the way I would do it, but I can definitely see how you would do it this way. Now we're going to search, and it's going to open up in Google the exact search string and give you back your results. It's quick. That's what I like about it. It's simple. And it has some interesting capabilities. Obviously, you can store, it says get string, clear all, build string, search. It'll let you store your string. You build it, it says store, so you'll store it, and that means you'll always be able to come back to it. This is my beginning string. This is a nice beginning string. What I would do did I already get it? What I would do with it is probably, let's refresh it again, and I'll show you what I would probably do. And we're still going to do very basic developer, even though there are other names for it. Don't really care. Seattle. Let me do LinkedIn. Let's build a string and let it search. And what I would do here, for me anyway, because there's one too many people, and I want to be able to contact them outside of LinkedIn, I would just add the gmail.com. And there we go. Basic Boolean, and here's my results. Could I have done that within Bool? Yes. I could have easily done that same exact thing within Bool, and it would, and it would have allowed me to, oh, it's done. Never mind. We'll get back to Bool. Well, let me finish Bool. I'm going off the chart here. So let's build a string. Let's get back to LinkedIn, build the string. There it is. You can still come in here and do stuff. So if I do this, and did I spell it right? gmail.com, and do that. It'll still store it, it'll still run it, it'll do everything I want right from here. And you could save these strings. And that's one of the things I really like about it. It allows you to save the strings, allows you to get strings, allows you to do everything. I have not saved a string yet, but a friend of mine did. See, we'll do it that way. String one, and get string one, and there's your string one. So there you go. And you can edit, awesome. You can do whatever you want. So now getting back to, let me finish. Let me finish this.
Okay, fine.
What you do, well, I got to finish Lex. We're going to go all the way up here to Lex. We're going to pick the first LinkedIn thing, and then we're going to come all the way down to the bottom and come all the way to the, right? So we get them all. And then we're going to copy, because you got to copy them. And then we're going to come out of here, and we're going to go into Excel, because Excel is where it will work the best, because it has all these comma delimited things. And there you go. You have your nice list of all how many ever hundreds of people, all nice and pretty, with a first name, a last name, a location, industry, I mean, everything, even spaces for phone numbers and stuff, if that information was available on their site, which in most cases it's not. I mean, on the LinkedIn page. That's why you'll see it not filled in. But this is great. I mean, this is a nice, quick little way you can now get these people into your CRM or whatever. You can go ahead and start trying to find contact information for these people. You can do almost anything you want with this list. There is a tool out there called Talent. I think if I remember correctly, it's Talent IQ that will actually, and Veruca, when it comes back online, and archivally, that if you take this information and get rid of a few verticals and load it into archivally will give it a date. It'll come back and have email addresses for all these people. Veruca will do it too, but Veruca's down right now. So there you go. That's simple and easy how to get all that information out of LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm not a big, and it works really well. It will not work in Recruiter, but frankly, who cares? And that's it.